Welcome to 20 Minutes of Clarity. I'm your host, Jason Noble, and joining me today is Andy Merchant.
We're going in, wrapping up the last segment of passive income strategies, which was such an important topic. And we really hope you got a lot out of it. We got some really good feedback. Thank you for sending in those comments and those emails. We appreciate it. But as we go into the next segment, now we're going to go into protected income. This is such an important part of an overall comprehensive financial plan. And we want to put some definitions to this today as the kickoff of this series. And we're going to go more into the details as we continue on within this series. But it's important that we at least get it started. So let's talk about protected income. How's that different than passive income, Andy?
Well, yeah, Jason, I know we're going to have a great conversation on this one, but the way that I want all of our viewers and listeners to kind of really just get their mindset straight for this series is, protected income. We look at it as really where the burden of that providing that benefit or that income has been passed to another entity, right? So it's no longer active based on your efforts. It's no longer passive based on what you saved and put into the money, but instead it's like, I'm pass it on to some other entity in order to provide the income as simple as it can get, right? So quick samples, and then we'll dive into more specifics. Is think about Social Security, right? You've passed on that burden to the government through contributions that you've made through withholdings, right? You might have a pension. Those that are listening that have pensions, those are another form where you pass it on to the company through a strategic agreement. And then there's also annuities and life insurance where you have an agreement with the insurance carrier in order to provide that specific amount of income that's protected. So summarize, it's basically simple, pass it on to somebody else to ensure you receive that level of income that you've contractually or semi-contractually agreed to.
And so, what are some of the benefits that you see from protected income strategies?
Well, yeah. Now I'm going to pass that one here in a sec back to you because it really you're kind of the godfather of portfolio reliance, at least in my education. And oftentimes, right, Jason, when we're doing the Clear Picture financial program or wealth program for our clients, one of the things we try to help them have peace of mind around is on their income stream. It's very important. And if you're retired and nearing retirement and are looking for ways to not always have to deal with the volatility of the markets and the downside risk that comes along with that when you need income, we like to use part of the portfolios to say, let's let somebody else take the risk of providing my income, and I'm willing to do the rules there. But if you could get a good percentage of your income coming from a protected source, along with some, a little bit of passive and retire, which most of it comes out to be, it takes down that portfolio reliance. I think you kind of hitting on portfolio reliance is really the key point of why the benefit of adding protected income into the story.
Yes. Okay. So let me give the definition of portfolio reliance ratio. It's really an important piece of information that we take in for retirement income planning. And what it's going into is what percentage of your expenses is coming in from your portfolio, from your public market exposure, right? And that'll be money coming in from your IRA, your Roth, your joint account, things of that nature, okay? Now, if you have a high portfolio reliance ratio, let's say you spend $10,000 a month, you have $8,000 coming in off your portfolio. You have an 80% portfolio reliance ratio in that example. Now, the second part of this is, what is your withdrawal rate? So let's say your withdrawal rate is 1%. Nobody cares about your portfolio reliance ratio. With a 1% portfolio withdrawal rate, you could have all your money invested in stocks, all your money invested in cash. You will never run out of money over your lifetime, unless you retire at the age of 4 and you then die in your late 90s, early 100s. Okay, so that's statistical analysis. Now, what if your withdrawal rate is 5% and you have a portfolio reliance rate of 80%? What does that tell Andy and I as we go through the clear picture analysis? Is market volatility could derail your financial plan. You can be betrayed by the market volatility. And that betrayal could cause you to make sacrifices in your retirement, or even cause you to go back to work. So
Mhm.
those two factors come into play. Okay. You will see a lot of the things that Andy and I discuss in our conversations, or even on a one-on-one conversation. We're always looking at how these different factors come into play holistically to make sure we're providing you the guidance that's best for you. So going back to the portfolio reliance ratio, that came through the retirement income certified professional designation that I have. And it was a big part of the course. So when we look at bringing in protected income strategies, it's to lower that ratio because we're transferring that risk of that income coming in to another source, whether that be Social Security, whether that be a pension, whether that be an annuity. But then, like, one thing I think is really important is there's very few things in my life that Andy and we could ever discuss that's guaranteed. Okay. Like, is Social Security guaranteed? Is your pension guaranteed? I mean, there's a lot of headwinds coming in right now in the Social Security system, right? So yes, you put money into the system over the years, and then then they have the trust fund. Well, the trust fund right now is on course to be depleted by 2032 by a lot of different reports that come out, and you can see those numbers kind of fluctuate between the years depending on what's going on. But what we're getting at is, what if there's a reduction in Social Security, or what about your pension? there's,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a large pension right here in my local area that they changed their accounting rules, and it used to show that they were underfunded by billions of dollars, and now they're showing that they're properly funded because they changed how they do their calculations on interest earned. What is that going to be if there's a betrayal there? And then it goes to the pension guaranteed system. What does that look like? And what are the headwinds that they're going to face? So we're not talking about guaranteed income. We're talking about protected income. Andy, what comments do you have as far as like points of clarity, right? For a clear
Yeah,
picture
no,
here.
I love how you summarize, and I think that's the key of this kickoff for this new series. As we were doing some pre-planning into this, we felt it was so important that a lot of people that we talk to on a regular basis, right, have some kind of form of guaranteed payments, right? I mean, everybody out here listening today is probably expecting or planning or taking a form of Social Security, right? Maybe the younger generations like that we're going to be in is like, well, it'll be different, right? But the reality is things can change. There's 2 points that I know we'll highlight throughout the series that kind of allude to what Jason was talking about. Is one, protected income is something that usually takes time to establish. You don't just flip open a switch and now you have guaranteed income or protected income. You had to earn it some way, either through your employer, by contributing into Social Security. There's obviously there's rules around Social Security that maybe we'll touch on in order to maximize that. But then, we're going to really dive into the ones that you, as the listener, the investor, the wealth strategy user, can actually have more control over, right? You can't control Social Security and you can't control your pension. You can maybe the start dates, right? But we want to hit on those, but we're really going to talk more about annuities and how you can incorporate those into the picture. So I know that throughout our series, I feel like, right, Jason, we're going to do some case studies. I think the best way to illustrate protected income strategies is by talking about how they actually work. So I think we're excited to preview that out there ahead of time. Life insurance is oftentimes not viewed as a living benefit strategy, but yet it does. We talk income in retirement could come down to disability, protection along the way. That's income, right? You're transferring that protection while you're working. But you might also need a health risk or a long-term benefit, and you need income that's guaranteed to cover those benefits. So I know we're going to highlight a lot of that, but at the end of the day, not all protected income, as Jason said, is guaranteed. Do not live into that camp that it is. It can change. Is it likely to have a lot of change? Who knows? But that's where Jason and I, work with our clients and help them, keep tabs on those income streams, right? And if you're out there and you're like, man, I've got pension, I have a pension, maybe I'm starting income, but I don't know how to make the right decision. That's where you go to clearpicturefinancial.com and you get with Jason or I or our team, and we'll help you look through that and understand the benefits. But But I'm really excited, Jason, about this series because I know how important it is to people to have peace of mind in their cash flow in retirement. And man, I love being able to sit across, look at our clients and say, hey, you know what? The best thing is, remember that $100,000 of income, that cash flow you need? We're going to be able to get a large, if not all, if we're really good, of that taken care of through protected income streams. Man, that's a powerful statement when you see them. And then for those that are watching, you can just go down your shoulders, kind of relax. Then you turn on the news and who cares what it says?
Yeah, I mean, if let's say you are spending $10,000 a month, going back to that example, and 7,000 of that is essential expenses. Now, what Andy considers essential versus what I consider essential, and every other person we've ever met considers essential, is very different. But this couple, 7,000 is essential. Okay, let's just go back to that.
Yeah.
Well, what if they have $7,000 a month coming in through protected sources? It's reoccurring income that's coming in through those protected income sources. To Andy's point, when the market pulls back 20%, they're not going to have anywhere near the amount of stress as someone who has $3,000 a month of protected income and they're withdrawing their other 7,000. I mean, especially if they have a high portfolio withdrawal rate, I mean, then you start to see the stressors kick in. I thought it was interesting that you brought up the life insurance aspect on that, like whole life insurance policies where they have a cash value within it. When I was going through the RICP, they talked about having a 2-factor plan in place when you're coming back down the mountain, so to speak. So if you think about retirement planning, most advisors only focus on the accumulation stage. And they have a very hard time of helping clients navigate and transition to the pre-retirement and then the retirement stage, coming back down the mountain. So when you're packing your gear to go up the mountain, you also have to have the right gear to come back down, right? And so the 2-factor process is the second factor. So the first is the public market. The second one, though, is using actuarial tables, and that's through the insurance policy. So when you have a dip in the market, on the dividends and interest or any withdrawals that you're making, then you could go into your life insurance policy to cover. So you're not withdrawing in a down market, you're using the cash value of the insurance policy. So there's that leverage that could come into play and then help with overall portfolio management for longevity, right? This is to make sure that you have that money last for you. And if you have estate planning goals, that money then is transferred to your loved ones. Now, if you want the last check to balance at the morgue, well, I mean, that's a different conversation that Andy and I need to have with you and your spouse. As you can imagine, there are clients that we meet that have that comment. Like, I made it. I want to spend it all. Well, okay, we're going to have to look at your different approaches and strategies to make sure it fits within your particular goals. But we also have many others that come in and say, no, I do want to leave money behind. I do want to live my life and make sure I have a good retirement. But yes, I do also want to leave money behind to my loved ones. Where that could change what we're looking at for your particular ratios, and as far as making sure you have the money that's coming in to meet your lifestyle, but there's also still money left over for your beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would add, right, Jason, to all that is to your point, everybody's plan's a little different. Everybody has a different goal, and how much of that cash flow, in retirement or not, does start right in accumulation. If your plan is, I want my last check to bounce, but my living needs in retirement are minimal, right, to where my max Social Security benefit, for me and my spouse can cover that entire coverage. Well, you know what? You don't need to necessarily then maybe save as much, right? Example, I don't, right off the top of my head, just take a couple who's going to plan on getting two Social Securities at a decent amount. You might expect $45,000-$50,000 a year from just Social Security right now, right? Just take that as a base number. If your debt's controlled and your living expenses are expected to be, I got plenty of clients here in Wichita that are, $35,000, $45,000 a year living expenses, and they have a surplus, right? But yet then they're invested in the market, taking risks for something that they don't understand why they're taking risks for, and so you got to have those conversations early because, forecasting those out and then building, I think the important part of this is that, we want to build that base income based on protected income, right? The best analogy and mindset I can give people is that, we've spent our lives working where we feel like we're getting protected income from our employer, right? It's not guaranteed, protected on their side as long as we're doing our job. But what we see is then we transfer that into retirement. Well, let's go get you that same protected income. If we can get 80% of your working wages through Social Security and our pension protection, then you can let the market be your cost of living adjustments, your bonuses, your vacation. I mean, that makes that pillow, Jason, soft at night, right? I mean, I like a soft pillow, but the best way to do that is knowing our money. Because once you hit retirement, as we were highlighting here, once you hit the phase of retirement, you don't have that luxury of maybe changing your job skill or asking for more money, or if your employer decides that you're not the right fit, or you decide you're not the right fit for your employer, you don't have that luxury just to go turn on another spigot of income. And once you hit certain ages, it's done. So we really, really like to diversify income, building a protected income base, and then getting that pillow as soft as we can at night, because you don't want to worry about the noise of the market, right? So that's why I think this series is so important for those that are listening and watching today. Tune in. You're going to hear strategies about, Social Security and pensions. I know Jason's really, right, you're huge on helping clients with this within just your market. You've got a lot of pension planning. If you're a teacher, right, teachers, at least in Kansas, have a pension program. You have some options to make as you're planning retirement. If you're out there and you've burdened your role in the home is to raise your children, right? And maybe you haven't worked that many hours. Do you understand the Social Security rules in order to unlock that income? We're going to talk about that at our next episode. And then, like I mentioned, as we have Jason take us out here shortly, then we're going to talk about life case studies for the annuities and life insurance. Why are we spending so much time? And those are generally two of the most common ways to get protected income. But most people have some kind of past mindset that blocks them from wanting that strategy incorporated. And we want to help people make the best informed decision. So, Jason, what do you got left?
I would say let's take it home. We'll give them some time back in their day, but take us home, Andy, as far as what they could be doing with the information we provided today and past podcasts. I think that would be a good next step.
Yeah. So make sure you're tuning in to clearpicturefinancial.com. Jason and I do this for the benefit of you. We want you as the listeners and the viewers to have all the access to information. That's why we have, we're going to have to get an episode count, but we're getting up there. So make sure you check us out there. For those that are like, I'm ready to take the initial introduction leap. I want to learn more. I want to have a clear picture of my wealth strategy and my wealth plan. Go to clearpicturefinancial.com, schedule a meeting with our team. Now, here's the best part is we don't charge to give you an attempt to run through the clear picture analysis. It's your information. We're here to organize it and hopefully earn an opportunity. So make sure you're doing that. Tune into this. But more importantly, if this resonated with you, if you feel like a friend of yours, family member has any interest, right now, share this podcast with them. We want them to tune in, listen to this. They can watch it on YouTube. They can listen to our voices in their car. It's only 20 minutes of your day once a week, and hopefully we get you there. So check us out, and we look forward to talking to you next week.